Welcome in, my dolls and figurines. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm Alexandria, Dark Barbie Different, and today I want to show you how I made a semi-mini-me version of me in a doll form for my boyfriend for Valentine's Day this year. How I turned them from this into this. This was his favorite doll in my collection, and he always said if he had one on his shelf, it would be that one. And he also has said that he wanted a custom from me, but was never gonna ask for one because he knows how much work I put into these customs. So I figured now was time, and I wanted to take you guys on the process of how I made this Valentine's doll. And it's not a tutorial. If you guys have seen my other videos about making dolls, I kind of just take you along my creative process and voice over where my brain is at and let you guys kind of see the fun. So also real quick, I wanted to base the doll's makeup off one of my favorite recent makeup looks that I did, which is this picture. Those were some of my favorite makeup looks, and I love doing that type of eye look, so I wanted the doll to have some of me vibes and some of my tattoos, and I tried tattoos for the first time, and I want you guys to see all that I did, so let's go. This is the Draculara in question. She is from the Fantastic Food Truck, I think it's called. I do have a video opening that on the channel. She is from the only playset that I do have. I do love the way that her face and outfit looked, and my boyfriend really loved this doll too for some reason, so hopefully he loves it just as much when I customize it. I do plan to keep with the pink and green theme. I do love this doll's face up. I think it's pretty beautiful. But anywho, this is just showing every little bit of before, because I do end up painting her shoes, changing the clothes, changing the hair, every little thing. The first thing that I did was remove her face and make sure she was fully clean by removing her face with pure acetone and washing her. I decided to keep her hair this time. I did not make her a wig of any form. And I did cut this brush to make it a little bit thinner to see if it would paint more accurately, because I am very heavy-handed with writing and everything. Also, as I've said before, these are never tutorials. This is kind of my thought process. As you can see, I'm kind of all over the place. I did end up recording over 2 hours of footage, and you can't really exactly see what I'm doing, so I decided to keep it at its normal speed but shorten them a little bit. And I did start out by doing the tattoos. I wanted her to have some of the same tattoos that I have in real life or something similar. I did draw them first in pencil after putting Krylon paint on her body and Mr. Super Clear on her face. I drew them on with pencil, free-handed, and then I painted over them in white, and then went over them in black, and then even went over them in white a little bit again, just to give them more depth and shading like a real tattoo would have. And also, as I said before, I'm pretty heavy-handed, so I wanted them to really pop and look like outlines, so I put a little bit of white back in. Like I said, you can't really see what I'm doing fully, but I think you guys get the gist. Like right now, I am painting a Metatron's Cube Sacred Geometry design on the stomach, because that is the tattoo that I have on my stomach. And on my actual tattoo, I decided to get it inverted so that my skin is what's actually making the design. So it was kind of hard to decide how to do this, and that's why I ended up outlining it and going over it again in white, because my tattoo is actually partially filled in, and I wanted to create a very similar vibe. Honestly, this is a really hard design. I don't know why I tried to do this as my first tattoo, but once you start drawing the Metatron's cube and looking at it, you learn it more if you know anything about sacred geometry. So it's actually a really good design to look at because it makes your brain understand it more. So I'm actually pretty good at freehand drawing it at this point because I've had this tattoo probably since 2015 or 16. And this tattoo stands for Universal Connection. And Metatron's cube has actually been found in a lot of places in the earth. And just something, little tidbits about me and my tattoo, something you guys should definitely look into if you're interested. It's a very interesting philosophy and spiritual vibe. I definitely would like to try getting a very sharpened watercolor pencil and try doing the tattoos that way. But for me, either way, I feel like the line turns out the same thickness. So that was a little bit of an issue that I had. But overall, I think the tattoos that I tried to do turned out pretty good. And I really love what I did with the shoulder tattoo. As you can see, I have a dream catcher. I have Native American in my blood, and I wanted to get this tattoo pretty much back. This was one of my first tattoos. This was my second tattoo, I want to say, and my mom helped me get it for my birthday. Thanks, Mom. And yeah, I think I was 19, 20, 21-ish when I got it, and I didn't realize that I have Sioux Indian in my blood, which they don't even make the dream catchers or aren't known for them, but you live and you learn. I still really appreciate the art, and I appreciate that I tried to recreate it. So as you can see here, I have off screen forgot to record some body blushing. The tattoos are finished. You can kind of get a sneak peek of those. I am now painting the nails, and sometimes I have tried to give them fake nails. I've also painted the toes, and I just think it's a cute little realistic addition to kind of layer as much as you can. And now I'm just trying to show off that the tattoos are similar to my tattoos, and I am still getting used to my new camera and not really used to showing things to the camera like that. It doesn't really work out, so I pretty much cut it out, but you will see me up close show the doll again later. And now I am just cutting her skirt, which honestly I could have done a little bit better of a job on, but I in real life like to wear a lot of DIY clothing, so I don't mind if it looks a little bit on the grungy DIY side. I loved how the skirt hugged her before, but I needed it to be a little bit shorter to show off my tattoo work. So here I'm just trying it on and kind of seeing what that looks like. Again, like I said, it hugged her body so much better before, but it was literally covering almost every piece of the stomach tattoo that I did. So yeah, I had to give it a little bit of an alteration, and then you see me actually try it on as a top, which is really cool that it works as a little tube top, vibe going on, but I end up not using that. I do cut the bow off the actual shirt just to kind of give it my own vibe. I wasn't really loving the bow. It kind of made the shirt look a little bit tacky and cheap, in my opinion. It was cute, but now we can use the bow for something else, and the shirt just looks a little bit more realistic, in my opinion. Next, you will see me painting the boots. I did think about spraying these black or painting them in some way, but I didn't want to lose the design on there by thickening the boot, basically. There's a little design, and I decided to just paint that in this kind of glitzy, pinkish silver. It's like a silver iridescent sheen. I have these cowboy boots that are black with silver accents, and honestly, I feel like these are giving those exact boots. So I decided to just do that and kind of leave the blue vibe, as I do have a green pair of boots and I do like to wear different colors matching together. So we decided to keep kind of the dark indigo blue and just paint silver right over the design, and you will see I even painted the buckle. And doing little things like this make it look so much more realistic. Like I said, even just with the nails or just painting the little design on the shoes, because a lot of Monster High shoes are 3D printed, it seems like, and they don't paint them or anything. They're just the plain design, but you can add so much more depth to a project just by doing a couple simple little things like that. And then, of course, I seal off the shoes with Krylon because that's what I use on their bodies, and it can hold plastic basically, so I don't waste the Mr. Super Clear on something like the shoes. But I have painted quite a few Monster High shoes. The last few times I did it, I actually used nail polish, which I know is kind of a no-no in the doll community, but if you're just gonna paint something like a shoe in nail polish and then seal it off with Krylon, you could always eventually take that off very easily, I think. And again, it's just something that adds so much realism to a project and gives so much more life to your dolls. I have been obsessed with my digital audio player lately by Any Oasis, so I wanted to create some accessories and decided to make my little digital audio player as her accessory. I made it out of a cardboard box, which actually worked out 1,000 times better than I thought it would because of the little space that they have in between cardboard to put the box together. You can actually slip her fingers into so she can hold the digital audio player. And I am so hyped about this little accessory. I actually love how it turned out. I did end up painting it green. I painted the screen with a glow-in-the-dark paint. I actually decided to thrift a giant necklace that came with a lot of chain on it just so I could make some jewelry. I love upcycling and I couldn't find anything around the house to do it with, but I think it's almost pointless to go buy something new for a project when there's so much to be reused and repurposed in this world or in your home. So a lot of the things that I end up using for projects come from things around the house. And I actually skipped around here. I did end up making some chain belts and necklaces for her, but I ended up putting in a septum with like a push pin, something. This actually was from the sewing store, and it is something that was suggested by another doll artist on YouTube. I cannot remember who, but it is how I have pierced all of their faces. And honestly, it didn't go in very easily, and I painted it before and the paint was chipping off, so it was actually a little bit of a nightmare, but it worked out in the end. And I think that the paint just gives it a little bit more depth again to make it look real. I just showed you guys my sketch that I actually randomly drew at work of what I kind of vaguely wanted the eye to look like. I did cover up her hair and her whole body after spraying the body with Krylon and then dressing her just to kind of see what she looked like. I sprayed the face 2 times very heavily with Mr. Super Clear so that it's like paper to draw on. And this is the most matte I have ever had a face to work on. And honestly, I will be doing this every time. It was so easy to draw on. And I just sat here with my favorite mechanical pencils and very carefully drew kind of exactly what I wanted the face to look like. This is the first doll that I've fully painted. I have been scared to use water with the watercolors, and I write really hard, as I've said, so every time I've used watercolor on a face, the watercolor pencils, it has just kind of pushed away, and the varnish that I was using before made the eyes really muddy and almost like you couldn't see the work I did. So this time I decided to very carefully paint, use watercolors, use acrylic paints, and I actually ended up using a pour paint top coat for pour paintings, and I have a giant jug of that, and you only need a little bit clearly for an eye, but I decided to try it. I waited until the face was fully dry, sprayed it with Mr. Super Clear, waited overnight, and then painted just a tiny bit of the top coat onto the eye. And let me tell you, you can fully see my art. It worked so magically. I am so proud of this doll. I think I spent 11 plus hours. I was keeping track for the most part in my phone of times that I was working on it, but there was a couple times where I forgot to record and I forgot to even keep track and had no idea how long I had been working on it. So I would guesstimate 12 plus hours, probably more than that, but give or take, what I know is 11. So I'm assuming 12 or more. Which actually, I usually spend more time than that on dolls, and I think it was because I was trying to figure out how to get the eyes to be seen, which after you put lacquer on is nearly impossible. So if you can, I would suggest something that is a lot thinner, a very thin varnish to go on the eyes and lips. I used the pour paint top coat, which was on super sale. I think we got it at Joann Fabrics when that was still around, but it is in a giant jug. And this went really well for me this time, and I think I went in less scared, just ready to do the project, and I really did my all that I could with sketching out the face this time, and I really tried to adhere to the sketch that I made. So again, I think practice makes perfect. This is my 5th Monster High custom, I want to say, and my 9th or 10th custom doll in general. So I'm feeling very proud of my progress and where I'm at in my art. And I've also gotten a lot better, I feel like, at makeup and graphic eyeliner in that time, which really helps because I feel like the way I do my doll's makeup and the way I do my own makeup and my drawings is very much similar, and my makeup is a big part of my art form, so I kind of try to do it like my drawings. So I feel like it worked out really well. It turned out a little bit bigger on the doll just to make it be seen, and my mom told me recently that my makeup, when I had it like that, looked like poison ivy, which definitely the doll is giving a little bit of that in the face. Definitely a vibe. Here you can see I have that same picture of my makeup up just so I could kind of capture the vibe a little bit. I did have a really grand idea to put glow-in-the-dark paint on the face, which I then realized I was silly because Mr. Super Clear is UV cut. The one that I have is, and the one that I use for dolls. So yeah, that didn't work. And if I wanted the glow-in-the-dark to show up, I would have to do it after. But it did work on painting it on the digital audio player because I only sealed that with Krylon. So that's pretty cool. She does have a little bit of a glow-in-the-dark vibe. I did put some glitter on the tattoos, just a little bit, just to kind of make it look shiny like a new tattoo. And here you can see me outlining what I drew as a sketch in black, which I went very slow doing, had to take my time, thinnest brush I could find, and actually I am so proud of how the face looked. You can just see me kind of analyzing it right there and kind of see me looking at it like, whoa, did I just do that? Again, guys, I'm just very proud of how this passion project turned out this last week. I randomly decided on Monday that I wanted to do this because, again, he's never truly asked me to customize one, but he's shown interest, and I usually have a plan months in advance. I don't mind spending money or making a plan, but this year it kind of fell through and I didn't know what to do. I mean, I had a bunch of ideas, but I thought about it really last minute. We've been so busy and I've been working a lot that it just came up quick, and I decided I wanted to go more thoughtful this year and do a passion project and spend a lot of time on him more than money this year. And I am just so proud of how she turned out. She now lives on his desk, which you guys will see on his PC, and so beautiful, so cute. I absolutely love that he put her right on his PC, and I think it'll be funny next year to do Elf on the Shelf with her and make it be me with the elf. I think that'll be freaking hilarious because she did kind of end up being a mini me. As we know, eyes are windows to the soul, and in the doll community, I feel like eyes and hair are some of the biggest components to making or breaking a doll. It looks like I just dropped my brush. That was freaking hilarious to rewatch. I'm sorry, my face was just great. That could be on repeat, and I would laugh about it over and over. Sorry, squirrel, but yeah, so I spent the most amount of time probably on the eyes. Probably even more than the tattoos, because first I had to do the sketch and then I had to do the makeup. And actually, I'm sorry, I first did the iris with watercolor and then I did the makeup, and then I had to go outline everything in black, and then I had to go over it in white, add pink also because I wanted it to look, I mean, I don't really draw realistically, but I wanted to give it more depth and realism in such a way to kind of depth to the eyes, because if you add pink, it looks more like your real waterline. And I love the Gyaru style and that type of makeup, and I do kind of that look in my own way with my dragging kind of eyeliner going on. So I wanted to add a lot of white, plus I think it looks very dolly. You guys will see what I mean, that there's white and then there's pink for the waterline, and then there's more white, which probably makes it look kind of anime or a little bit dragged out, even kind of drag queen-ish. Trixie Mattel does a white kind of underneath, which definitely exaggerates the eye, and it's just something that I love to do in my dolls and I love to do on my own face. I also decided to paint on ear plugs, since I know people get upset when you call them gauges, but I'm from the I'm from the 1900s and they were called gauges in my day, so I have some gauges painted on and I think they turned out really beautiful. I wear inch plugs in my ears, so I think the size that I painted actually replicated that size pretty well. It was kind of weird to paint an ear because I already blushed them just to give them some detail, but Draculara has these elongated, almost elven kind of ears going on, and I didn't paint them perfectly circle because I like to be dramatic, and I didn't even draw a pre-plan. I just went in and started painting them, but I think they turned out. I think if you don't notice them as plugs initially, they could look like headphones for the DAP, the digital audio player that I made for her. So either way, tangent aside, I think it worked out. It did take me a little bit of time to get it right, and you will see me turn the doll upside down in all types of ways. Sometimes some of the makeup is a little bit easier to do upside down. Like, gosh, I wish I could do that to my own face, because sometimes doing art from a different angle, you can draw like a circle better. Oh, circle was a terrible example. You could draw maybe a triangle better from a different angle. Get what I'm saying. You guys get what I'm saying, that a certain flick of the brush can go better from a certain angle if you're right or left-handed. So you'll see me doing a lot of that. You'll hear me being very dramatic right now, telling you guys all about it. I really appreciate how much detail and time I did put into her eyes. Like I said, you guys, I feel like I probably spent the most time on the eyes, but they are way more detailed really than any doll that I have done. And I am proud of my other dolls, and I did spend a ton of time on them. I just feel like I was really learning and kind of grasping the process, and I'm very proud of how those turned out for only doing a few. But now I feel like I am in a really good place with my art and proud of where it's going. Even more so, I feel like it's looking a lot more how I hope it would look, and a lot more in depth, and I don't know, almost like it's articulate now, like you can read it now, and before you were just studying it. You know what I mean? I will have to show you guys my other dolls on the channel. Maybe we'll even get a little clip and throw that in here at the end of my kind of mini-me that I'm making right now with my other custom Monster Highs, because I keep staring at them while I'm talking to you guys, and they are some of my most proudest art projects. They're very beautiful and unique, and I've learned something new along the way. So never not be proud of your process, even if something didn't turn out the exact way you think it was going to. Usually my projects don't, and they usually end up turning out a lot better than I think I thought they were going to, because I get a lot of ideas during the creative process. That's why, again, I couldn't really ever give you guys a full-on tutorial, because I would be like, oh, and now we're adding some random stuff that was never a part of the plan, and I have to find the stuff around my home and all these types of things, because I have craft stuff just everywhere, and honestly, things you wouldn't even think of as craft stuff, like a necklace or different things that you see me use, can be craft stuff. So it's a very long process for me. A lot of additions, alterations, and changes from the original plan happen every 2 seconds for me, especially as a person who has ADHD and is very all over the place doing a project, but very focused at the same time. That's why I love sharing with you guys kind of the thought process and what I'm really doing, because it's not linear. And like I said, I hope you guys can be proud of each project that you do make, because I think the learning process and where it ends up, besides where you thought it was going to be, is the whole project. That is the project. That is the study, you know? So just keep going and be proud of who you are, and be proud of your art every day. The last bit of recording I have of me painting the face, I actually am a little bit more close, so I did want to include that here. I hope that it's not too lame, the bits that I did get. I didn't want to speed them up this time, but obviously I couldn't record the whole 11 plus hours it took of me scrambling around making this, but I hope what I did include gives you guys some insight as to how my creations happen and how you could create, or gives you different ideas to bounce off yourself. Whenever I'm watching a video of someone else creating, I get so many ideas, because I never copy an idea. I get ideas from other creators like, oh, that's a good way to do that. And then I'm like, oh, you could do this. And you could also do that. Like, I just start bouncing ideas off myself, and love that part of creating probably more than anything else. Is just like, oh, you could do this now, or this. I was watching Our Lips Are Sealed, Mary-Kate and Ashley, which I hadn't seen, no joke, in probably 20 years. I probably have not watched that since I was like 12 years old in middle school, because right around middle school time, I went full on, gosh, mom, emo type, like was very angry and very dark at the time. I mean, I still kind of am, but I was very going through that whole thing, and would definitely have not watched a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie anymore. That would have been so lame then. So, like I said, I hadn't probably watched it in 20 years, even though that was probably one of my favorite movies. So I don't know why in middle school, early high school, I feel like you kind of shy away from what you actually love. knowing dang well you love it just to like try and be cool or try and be angry and emo or try and just, I don't know, you shy away from what you're loving when you're young, and I feel like it circles back to you when you're older. I thrifted that VHS, and that's what you guys keep seeing me staring at in the corner. It was so good, held up, was so good. I freaking love that movie, and it is definitely a good staple icon of the early 2000s. I feel like the outfits, the jokes, just everything about it was amazing. Tangent aside again, but had to tell you guys because I couldn't stop staring at that dang movie. I ended up putting some of her hair to the side to give her a scene bang because Draculara has a widow's peak, and it was so hard to style her hair. I could not. I tried to glue in bangs and it wasn't staying, even though it's something I've done before. So I don't know what was happening. I gave her this little cute, Bratz does this to some of their hairstyles, honestly, and that's kind of what I got the idea from. And then I did end up giving her a coontail and a seeny weeny little mullet haircut that is very kind of 80s scene. A lot of vibes going on here, but it's definitely very much more me when I had my pink and black vibes, because Drew, my partner, loves my pink and black kind of vibes. He loves all the stuff that I do, but he definitely takes notice to the pink and black. And I used to cut hair, and I cut my own hair, so this probably looks really funny, but I am just giving them some layers right from the top, kind of doing a inverted layer here to give that look of the scene kind of poof mullet going on. So I just layered the front and I layered the sides a little bit, giving that trim down, but I did keep that long part where the pink is because I knew that I was going to give some coontails to the pink, because I have rocked coontails on and off since 2007, like actually in my hair. I've also had extensions. My boyfriend actually has a coontail right now in the back of his head because we put bleach and black in her hair and he said he wanted to match me. So I had to do this. It was just being a little bit of a bear and hard to do because of that dang widow's peak. But all in all, I think it ended up working out well. And I did just take a little bit of a glue stick on my finger and use it as some gel in the hair, which honestly worked well. The hair looks great. I don't even think I had to wash this hair. It just came right out of the box just fine because the food truck doll just came in the driver's seat. The hair wasn't doing anything. It was just sitting there. She wasn't really super in the box, honestly. It was easy to get out. I would like to get the stall again, but I'm obviously not buying the food truck again. It does take up quite a bit of space. It's the only place that I have because of that, but I used to have a Britney Spears tour bus when I was a kid, so it's very nostalgic to me, and I love the festival line. I only have one doll from it, but love that line, love festivals, love the vibe, had to get it, and now this is his, so maybe someday I will be able to find one on Mercari, or maybe I'll just end up getting rid of the food truck because I could have more dolls, honestly. Tangent aside, again, you guys, thank you for listening to all of my tangents today. I've honestly had so much fun just kind of going off, chatting with you through the process. Here I'm just layering again and again and again until it gives that kind of inverted hairstyle where it looks like it's poofing on its own. This is the type of style I've had for many years, is a side part, heavy, thick bang, layers on top, and I style it often outside of work. For work, I just wear it kind of to the side and I tease up my bangs a little bit with the heavy fringe, but I do always have the coontails, so you know we had to vibe. Styling and styling away. Honestly, I have not done a ton of doll hairstyles. I did go to school for cosmetology. I do my own hair, but styling doll hair is a totally different beast, honestly. It's kind of finicky for me, and her hair was flipping out just the way that it was, but I don't think that it had any indents from the box. As I said, her hair was not trapped in the box in any way, shape, or form, so I kept it kind of with the flipping out style, I thought it worked, and just kept molding it and moving it around until I felt like it was in a good place, because I think the hair, the body shape, the outfit, I think those were all something that Drew had appreciated about this doll, because as he said before, this was a doll he would want on his shelf, and I can't imagine why, unless those were the he must have liked the appearance of something that it came with. So I did try to keep some of the vibe of the doll itself prior. And now I'm doing coontails the very old school way, where we used to draw on extensions and tape them down to a piece of paper and Sharpie them, which honestly works so well for extensions, works so well for doll hair. Do not even fret. Don't even pretend like you wouldn't try this, because it works. It works. I did it on almost every doll. Has a little coontail going on, to be completely honest, that I have made. So here I just draw them out. Turned out really well. It did become a little bit sticky this time. I don't know if the hair is made out of something different than it usually is, but I probably did it really thick because I did make sure and flip it around and do both sides, because the other side didn't really look as striped once I was done. So I wanted to make sure that the darkness fully went through and that this coontail was poppin' and really noticeable. I found out, actually, just to let you guys know, I did find out that some people think that coontail is a derogatory term, and I hope you guys know that I do not mean that in any derogatory way. They were literally called raccoon tails or coontails in 2006 or 7 on MySpace, because it just looks like a raccoon's tail. So I hope you guys know that's the only thing I would ever refer to, and I am respectable to all cultures, all kinds, and I honestly don't know what that is referring to. But when I looked up coontails recently, I was informed that we should not be calling them that anymore. And I don't remember what they said we were supposed to be calling them now, but I grew up with them called that. So just so you guys know and are aware, that's just what I'm referring to, as a raccoon tail painted on the hair. The hair turned out, in my opinion, so amazing. That little bang to the side was a little finicky, but I love the little spiky, messy vibe. And I think that drawing on the hair worked out perfect. Here you can kind of just see me styling it a little more and inspecting it. I am very, very proud of the color scheme. And, well, I didn't create the color scheme, but I kept with the vibe enough, but made it enough of my own vibe. And then I did end up coloring in a little bit of the scalp with the black Sharpie, just to kind of make it blend a little bit more, because once I pulled the bang over, it was a little bit of the scalp was showing. So I did just fill that in, and you kind of just saw me show off my hair with its hair, because we have the same stripes going on. And here is the hair, feeling very in love with it. Honestly, I'm obsessed. Would definitely do that on my own hair. If I wasn't giving this to my boyfriend, I wouldn't have licked it like that, but I knew he wouldn't have cared. So I'm just styling it a little bit more and feeling it out, feeling the vibes. You'll notice a lot of me kind of inspecting and judging my own work here. I did take my little teasing comb that I have had for a million years, probably since I was like 12 or 13, and you'll see me kind of teasing it up a little. It doesn't do much to doll hair, but since it was layered in such a way, it did honestly do a little bit. And love the shape going on here, that little helmet head scene hair. Oof, it's a vibe. It's a vibe. It's making me want to put pink in my hair, not even gonna lie, but pink never stays that well in my hair, so it's super fun to have a doll kind of commemorating the orchidy pink color that me and my partner Drew both loved so much in my hair. So here I have noticed that a little bit more framing needs to be done, so I am just layering the crap out of this hair even more. The hair, honestly, it's never done. I'll probably go over to his desk and fix the hair multiple times, but feeling very proud of the place that it is in and just kind of getting it more textured, more vibes. If you hear something, my cat is literally purring on my lap right now, so say hi to Star Child. Hi, Star Child. I did really like the hair, but I again felt like it needed to be layered a lot more in the front. So I did do kind of some overdrawn, over-directing kind of layers. I cut it in a real way that people do cut their hair, just to kind of give her that. As you could see from the side, it's definitely like mulleting up on the sides. I'm really loving this hairstyle. It is kind of how I do my own hair, a little more mulleted on her in the front just to kind of get it to go up like that, but it wouldn't, doll hair doesn't really tease or stay styled like that, so I really had to cut it to give it that illusion. And I was kind of checking the time because I think that Drew was actually on his way home this day, and I was kind of in the middle of something, scrounging, trying to finish this. So the hair just kind of is a work in progress, really, until you feel proud and good with the shape. I felt like you could see a lot of the footage very clearly of me doing the hair, so I'm sorry if this seems kind of long and drawn out. I just wanted you guys to be able to actually really see some of the process that I do. And here you can see that I have put the chain and the outfit fully on, and I wanted to get that belt to sit kind of how I want. And again, I'm just all over the place as usual and kind of just working through my little creative process. I really like how the chains turned out. I did have a couple of charms, a cross charm and this kind of moon and star little spiritual kind of witchy looking charm that I added to the belt, because I've definitely made my own chain belts and necklaces, and her necklace actually I didn't even have to cut or do anything to the chain there. It was a little bit left over from where I did the belt, and it just, the end of the necklace went through perfectly. Like, it just pulls through as a loop, and that looked really cute, almost like a leash or a tie type necklace. So it's kind of customizable vibe. And I thought that the outfit and everything with the tattoos and the hair and the face just looks so cohesive now. Earlier I talked about putting that pour paint top coat on as a varnish for the eyes, and here is that. If you were curious what I used, it actually worked so well, and I don't see why it wouldn't last for a long time. It says that it said something about it is anti-fading. I'm pretty sure it's even a little bit waterproof, but if you can imagine this on like an acrylic canvas for a pour painting, I don't see why it wouldn't work on the eyes. This was actually Drew's suggestion. He had no idea that I was making him a doll. I just kind of brought up wanting to go get varnish to correctly do eyes the next time I do a doll, and he's like, hey, wait a second, I have this and I've never used it, so this could go really far. I don't think I would ever have to buy varnish for doll eyes or lips if I just continue to use this. I honestly took the cap off and there was another tab to take off, and I took the paint right off of there, and there was still more paint there to be used. So I just varnished up the eyes and the lips. I only wanted to give a very light layer because all of my other dolls, besides my most recent Frankie that I made for Pride Month, which is on the channel, by the way, my last doll that I made, I didn't super varnish that one because I wanted to step away from the thick, cloudy eyes that my first few had, and this worked so well, as I had said before. And I know that photographing dolls with heavily varnished eyes kind of washes out the eye and is hard to photograph, so I think this is perfect happy medium. It gives that little shine, kind of makes it look more in-depth and real and how dolls look when they come at the store. And it seals it in a different way than spraying the matte Mr. Super Clear on does, because I did this after that. So I'm really happy with the outcome here. I tried to show you. I will show you guys in a better form. Again, I'm getting used to my camera, and I think it's trying to catch all of the dolls as faces in the background, so that's something I will need to keep in mind in the future. Here's kind of my final inspections of the doll and me kind of posing her and really getting a feel for her for the first time, really, honestly, and just kind of being super obsessive at this point and really deciding how I want everything presented. Again, like I said, this necklace that I made was just a ball that pulls through the chain, so it kind of is like a tie or leash. Super cute vibe, super kind of DIY vibe going on with the necklace and the chains. Very much so love the blushing color that I did on this doll. I forgot to blush the face before I did the makeup, so that was something. Here is the digital audio player, which at first I thought maybe it would be cute on the belt or something, but I really wanted it to be kind of a main event, very noticeable, and I ended up noticing that you could slip her fingers into the side of it. Since it's cardboard, there was those little kind of holes going on the side, which actually I of course didn't like at first, but then realized how perfect that is of an accessory. And here is me with the doll and me showing you guys my tattoo, and you can kind of see the DAP there, the digital audio player on the side has those holes, like I said. So I was trying to figure out how to present this doll, and this actually ended up being fruitless because he wanted to take her right off of the stand and have her posing kind of on his PC, which I think is great that I've rubbed off on him. He wanted to touch and see the doll right away and take her off the stand, so that's great. But here I found a doll stand just to kind of present her on, and I had these nail stickers that were sent to me by a friend that I have, who is someone that I met online and is a good friend in another country, actually, but close to mine. But if you're somehow watching this, I love you and I thank you for these awesome Kuromi nail stickers. And they are being used delightfully for a doll project. And even though he didn't end up using this stand, I wanted to include it because it was a part of the project, and I am definitely going to use it for one of my dolls or for my next custom project. I ended up wrapping a chain around it as well. And I have actually made a very in-depth stand before out of the Vandala doubloons doll. I ended up making kind of a piratey, very, very unique doll, and I covered the stand in moss and kind of gold accents, and that's definitely something I want to show on the channel. And I was kind of thinking about that. I'm like, I have full-on decorated doll stands. I don't know why I went so simple, but I just couldn't really think of a great idea, and I didn't really want much to take away from the doll. So I just kind of decorated the edges of the doll stand and added a chain to it, and that was a really good way to present her, because then when he kind of pulled her out of the bag, he was able to easily see what it was. This is it, the final project. This is my Valentines Draculara, who I was calling Draculara the whole time I was working on her, but this is my kind of mini me, and she's holding her dap. This is her. The final look, and I did forget to mention I painted on cheek piercings, which I have in real life, with black and then silver over top, and it looks very realistic. Here was the before look. Again, it was the fantastic food truck from the festival, and here's her after, my favorite picture of her. Here is a zoomed in of the makeup before, and here is my after. So proud. Also, I did sign the back of the head. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you that one-handed, but here is a little bit closer up of the details on the eyes, because I did do brown and purple for the irises. Feeling so proud of this project. Thank you guys again so much for supporting what I do. This is the final project sitting completed on Drew's computer space. We do have the orchid Lego with the light up bricks behind there, which looks so perfect with her. Here is more of the details on the shoes. You can see the blushing better. The DAP, which does glow in the dark, and I will try to get a video of that real quick. You can see the shirt that I slightly customized, and the skirt, the tattoos in all their glory, and the full face up and hair. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great morning, day, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world, and that you stay true to you and dare to be different. I am so proud of this passion project, and I really appreciate anyone who takes the time to check out my work and my page. I hope it gives you some insight, inspiration, ideas, and puts you in a creative mood. Thanks for watching. Bye.